Well, there's a kind of a wine-like character to it, to the nose that I don't imagine we have any natural processed coffees. These should all be washed.
Why is that, Ken?
Well, because the Kona style, the what people expect is a kind of a clean, rather delicate, sweetly bright cup. That's the Kona expectation. Natural process meaning that the coffee fruit is dried in the fruit. It gives a heavier, kind of deeper kind of sweetness, a kind of a fruit. It gives it often an alcohol like wine, brandy, and so on. Not always. This is probably a washed coffee that has character. That could be. It could be from the variety of the bean too, of the tree that produced the coffee. It's a distinctive coffee. It has a Kona sweetness to it, and but it's much more distinctive. In other words, you should be able to pick this coffee out, not identify it perhaps, but pick it out as different on a table of other coffees that are in the Kona Coffees or Kona style.
Yeah, as I brought it up just to about here, on as I was about to smell it, I was like, "Whoa, there is something interesting about this."
Yeah, it's a washed coffee, but it's a distinctive one. I'm guessing, actually, there's something that's making this a distinctive specialty coffee, something a little different, and it could be in the processing, or it could be in the variety of the coffee tree. But whatever it is,
Wow.
I find it quite pleasant. You notice that the acidity is much deeper than in number two.
Mm-hmm.
You see, number two, for example, both number one and number two are very pleasant coffees, very pleasing coffees, and particularly number two. But they're not distinctive. They don't say, "Hey, taste me." What? you know.
Yeah, this is wow. Is it wow?
And it's very deeply sweet. But has a substantial, rich sort of brightness or acidity to it.
Man.
Very nice fruit. Very clean. Clean fruit, but deep. I'm thinking maybe if I had to make an association, might make an association with a tropical fruit. Mango, maybe. It's not quite as pungent or terpeny as mango, but what do you think of the finish? Do you think that's a clean finish?
Reasonably.
Yeah, I think it is. It's complex.
Mm-hmm.
There are things going on, but
Yeah, but none of them bad.
no.
Not at all.
No, I'll come back to mango as the closest I can get to the fruit.
Yeah, that was good. I wouldn't have thought of
It
it.
has a kind of it doesn't have that sort of sweet brightness of a temperate fruit. Let me think about berries for a minute. Balanced structure and the fruit carry deeply into the finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very consistent. This coffee is very consistent from the nose to the finish, I think, compared with the number one, for example, which fell off in the finish.
Yeah, this is a very unusual
Well,
coffee in a good way.
Assume it's a Kona coffee because you're telling me these are Konas, so I would have to think that either this is a unusual and distinctive Kona coffee, or else it's some really creative blender who was having fun.
the boss was away.
I can say, yeah, right. Oh, yeah, Kona, I can really cut loose. It's a very coherent fruit. In other words, it doesn't. It's not a layered kind of fruit to me that suggests one kind of fruit one time and another the other. It's pretty consistent. I'm wondering, thinking about other tropical fruits, could be a little guava association. Not as sweet or high-toned as guava, but there is a tart element, and I wouldn't associate it with citrus particularly. Maybe some exotic citrus. Well, let's see. What do we have here? This is going to be some kind of surprise. Oh, Hula
yes,
Daddy.
it is.
Hula Daddy, let me tell you about Hula Daddy, is one of the more creative small Kona coffee growers and roasters. So if the first two coffees relied, if there were Kona in them at all, I guess there's a little bit of Kona, would be from these big mills that just churn out as much Kona as they can. Hula Daddy is characteristic of a different kind of Kona coffee producer. These are smaller producers. They lavish attention usually on their coffee and on their trees, and they typically roast the coffee themselves and sell it directly to mainland consumers online. And if you get the right small Kona producer, you can get extraordinary coffees. I happen to know Hula Daddy does do natural coffees.
Oh.
They do practically everything. What is this? What does it say?
It doesn't say. Oh, it says like Kahiko, Kahiko, and then it's a Typica.
Right.
And then it's grown at 1,400 feet. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that.
Yeah. This is another let me digress, as people used to say. That Kona coffee is relatively low grown, quite low grown in the big picture. So 1,400 feet is very low. In Central America, it would be a very sad coffee if it were grown at 1,400 feet, because it usually would be grown at 3,500 feet. But Kona is different because the climate is different. And also Kona is farther away from the equator than Central America. So consequently, the 1,400 feet for Kona is a good. The elevations go from about 900 feet up to about 2,500 feet in Kona. So this is midway grown. Now, Typica is unusual in the sense that it's the coffee tree that created Kona coffee. It's called the Guatemala Typica, and it was brought from Guatemala, and it's the standard. Typica is the original coffee that was brought by the Europeans out of Yemen and spread throughout the world. At one time, almost all coffees in the world probably were
typical.
Typica. But now, of course, because it's susceptible to disease, and there are other varieties that are replacing it all over the world, including Kona. So this is a classic it's probably a washed, just a very beautifully washed Kona coffee of a classic nature. But it's distinctive because it's more Kona than the other Konas, I suppose you could say. I'm going to have to look it up online and see whether it was naturally processed, but I don't believe so.
It doesn't. Of course, it doesn't say. But my guess. I don't pretend to equal you as far as tasting, but I definitely think it's washed. But it does have. It is enough that it might taste like it could be natural.
Could be a very clean.
Super
natural.
Clean, natural. It's a super clean coffee, that's for sure. And it's, wow,
Well,
it's pretty powerful. I wouldn't have expected to describe a Kona as powerful, but it has a very distinctive taste.
Right. So this is again an example of an exceptional coffee that takes a certain kind of coffee concept, as it were, and does something exceptional and distinctive with it. And you notice too that it has very, very good mouthfeel. It's very substantial mouthfeel.
Yes.
I think that you could say that this coffee was probably processed with utter care, complete attention to detail, and how it gets the kind of particularly tropical fruit character, I can't say. It probably has something to do with the ferment and the drying. Maybe all Kona coffees at one time, when they were good, tasted like this, and begun to associate Kona with these sort of coffees with less character.
This it just motivates me to want to say this. This is the Kona coffee so far.
It's a washed.
Is it a washed? Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Jason. Yeah, okay, told us.
Jason, my fellow coffee expert who was forced into the role of brewer, as I said, he tells me
the
it's a
humanity.
washed coffee.
This is the coffee that if you have someone over and you for the holidays or for any reason, and you want to show off or have them discover what it is about Konas that put Kona on the map, this would be a good choice. This is a coffee that's a very distinctive, I think, a very distinctive Kona coffee.
I don't know. That's a good point, and it's possible that that's the case. But on the other hand, you could say, well, this is a Kona coffee created by a couple. I happen to know them, but they're wonderful people, and they are trying to do the best by Kona. They're trying to do. With this coffee, at any rate, they have a lot of different approaches. But this coffee, I think they're probably trying to do Kona as an absolute best classic Kona that you could possibly produce. So in that sense, you're right. But on the other hand, the Konas that put Kona on the map were probably not done so carefully. So,
Well.
I mean, we don't know.
You're right. We
tell?
don't know. Although somebody had to taste the first one and say, "Wow, this coffee is so outstanding." Or on the other hand, what you're suggesting is it could have just been a very keen marketing person who said, "Wow, I'm really enjoying being here. This is a vacation like no other place I've been to on Earth."
It would be a good research
Yeah.
project. I remember when I was doing my first book on coffee, I visited the cooperative in Kona that I was told put Kona on the map after World War II.
Ah.
Yeah, so, but there's a lot of detail, and they were doing a very nice coffee, but very traditional. And I would say it probably could have been as good as this, perhaps.
A lot of coffee books. I'm not sure about yours, but a lot of coffee books that I've read will refer to Kona as a very invariably light-bodied coffee, and this doesn't seem too light-bodied
No,
to me.
no, it's heavy. It's full-bodied. Yeah. And I think, again, that's the concept of Kona. That's the myth of Kona. That's the brand of Kona, is the delicate, lighter bodied. And this is substantial.
Yeah, interesting coffee. And I almost finished this, so yes, if you want to move to number 4, before I pour myself another cup.